Fan favorite Kevin Holland is back, and this time he'll be back to face Wonderboy Stephen Thompson. This is the exact type of fight that both guys have been calling for, so no doubt this will be a fun and exciting one as two extremely unorthodox and unique fighters throw down in Orlando, Florida.
Kind of lunged in, but a nice elbow there as they come to close.
This is it! At UFC on ESPN 42. For Wonderboy, it could be the last hurrah, while for Holland it will be a momentum-building win. So let's get into the breakdown. Kevin Holland. So it seems like Kevin Big Mouth Holland hasn't retired after all and was just pulling a fast one on his fans with the fake retirement posts on his social media. He did such a good job that he had the MMA community convinced until this main event fight was announced.
I think, yeah, for a second there, I was like, hey, I can walk away right now.
Holland comes into the fight with a 23-8 record with 18 total finishes. He has won Performance of the Night bonuses 5 times, is tied for the most wins in a calendar year in UFC history with 5, and has the record for the most bouts in a 12-month span with 7. So say what you want about his performances, but one thing you can't doubt is that Holland loves to fight, and puts on a show each time. He is coming off a loss, however, as he was submitted by Khamzat Chimaev back in September. But Holland took that fight on a day's notice, so you've got to cut him some slack. Prior to that, Holland won 2 in a row after moving down to welterweight, and both were finishes that were accompanied by performance bonuses. Holland is also one of the most unique fighters as he doesn't stop talking during his fights.
There you go. Bring him down. You got it, That's that Diaz. I almost whooped him when I first got him. Yeah.
That's why the nickname Big Mouth is so apt. So it will be interesting to hear what he has to say about Wonderboy, who is considered one of the good guys in MMA. As for Holland, he will look to get back into the win column and rebuild that momentum he lost as he takes on an aging vet, Stephen Thompson. Stephen Thompson. Despite being 39 years old, Thompson still goes by the nickname Wonderboy. However, that nickname is still apt when you see Thompson fight, as he is still as agile and flexible as ever, along with the quick reflexes that made him a world kickboxing champ. He'll be coming into the octagon with a 16-6 record with 8 finishes.
When you watch his 2 fights to Robbie Lawler, he eats a lot of shots. He's hurt. This is Stephen Wonderboy.
Thompson has been one of the mainstays in the welterweight division for years and has reached title contender status a couple of times. However, it would be fair to say that his best times are behind him as he is on a 2-fight losing streak. Both came via dominant wrestling and grappling sequences, which has always been a chink in Wonderboy's armor. Still, it wasn't that long ago when he was putting on extremely dominant and one-sided beatings of elite welterweights like Jeff Neal and Vicente Luque. So there is no telling how much of that Wonderboy is still left. There is a possibility that it might be Wonderboy's last fight, so if it is, we better appreciate the aging vet for all he has done for the fight game with his unique karate style and good-natured attitude. But let's get into the nitty-gritty of things and break this fight down even further. Striking offense. 87% of Stephen Thompson's offense is striking, while Kevin Holland has a near 50% striking offense. So it seems like we'll have a primarily kickboxing fight on our hands, and you might think that will favor Wonderboy as he is a former kickboxing champion, but Holland is no slouch on his feet either. So first, let's look at the offense numbers. Wonderboy lands almost 4 strikes per minute, while Holland isn't that far behind him with 3.85. Both of these guys are well over the UFC average of 3.39 strikes landed per minute. However, a lot of those strikes that Wonderboy lands are counter shots, and while Holland is known for having a great counter timing, he does push the action more, so Wonderboy will have his chance to land his counters. One interesting aspect of this fight is that Wonderboy won't have a reach advantage. For most of his fights, the 75-inch reach is good enough to give him a striking edge in the department, but this time Holland, a former middleweight, has an 81-inch reach, which might make it difficult for Wonderboy to counter effectively. So when it comes to striking offense, we might have to give that slight edge to Holland, who is also younger and seems to possess one-punch KO power. Striking defense. Now with defense, things get really interesting. For as great of a counter striker as Wonderboy is, he does absorb 2.81 strikes per minute compared to Holland's 2.38. However, we have to keep in mind that most of the time Wonderboy is absorbing leg kicks or body attacks, as it is difficult to land cleanly to Thompson's head because of his excellent footwork and distance control. While Holland is more willing to stand and throw down and a lot of time comes out ahead, but has been rocked a few times doing so. Both of their striking defense is almost identical, as Wonderboy has a 56% defense rate and Holland has a 55%. What separates the two is distance control and footwork. Wonderboy simply has an odd fighting style, which makes it difficult for his opponents to figure him out on the feet, which is why wrestling is usually the key to beating him. That's why we will give this part of striking to Wonderboy. Grappling. Now, if there would be anyone to initiate grappling in this fight, it would be Kevin Holland. Both of them are not known for their grappling ability and both have a lower takedown rate than the UFC average. But Holland is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt with 6 submission wins to his name. In fact, his last win against Tim Means came via a Darce choke. However, this was after he hurt Means on the feet, so it was not a grappling dominant fight. Holland has spent a lot of time recently working on his wrestling, mainly to keep the fight standing. But it wouldn't be a crazy idea to try and wear down Wonderboy or give Wonderboy more to think about by initiating some grappling sequences, which is why we will give the grappling edge to Holland. X Factor. When it comes to X Factors, there are a lot of different ways that we could go about things, but one primary X Factor for Holland has to be his mindset. He did technically retire and was extremely down on himself after his poor showing against Chimaev. If Holland brings that baggage into the octagon on December 3rd, we could see a lackluster performance. While for Stephen Thompson, the X Factor has to be his age. You can say whatever you like about the fight game, but one thing is definitely true. It is a young man or woman's game. Normally, aging fighters have a hard time gracefully bowing out of the fight game, and we could see that with Wonderboy, who turns 40 in just a few months. So who knows how much Thompson has left or how much his skill set and attributes have diminished with age. Prediction. As it currently stands, Stephen Thompson is the slight favorite against Kevin Holland. The odds opened with a plus 130 for Wonderboy. However, as the fight draws near, we wouldn't be surprised to see the odds shift towards Holland. As far as our prediction goes, if Holland can disrupt Thompson's rhythm through clinches and landing powerful leg kicks, and then drag the fight into the later rounds, he could find himself facing off against a slower and more hittable Wonderboy, which would increase Holland's chances of landing the KO blow. While for Thompson, he has to maintain his distance, which is often the MO of a Wonderboy game plan. If Wonderboy can keep Holland at bay and frustrate him with his movement and defense, we could see a classic Wonderboy performance, where he puts on a striking masterclass against his opponent as he cruises to a decision win. So if you enjoyed this video, then please give it a like and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hit the little bell beside it so that you're notified the next time we upload a new video. With that being said, you just watched us break down a potential upcoming welterweight fight between Big Mouth Kevin Holland and Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. We will see you next time.